Jeremiah wins, Jeremiah wins, Jeremiah wins. I had this dream last night. And it's kind of a weird dream. It's got me feeling some type of way this morning, man. It's got me a little perturbed, I guess is the word. Yeah, I had this dream. And for me, it's been a long while since I've had a dream, and I can remember the dream when I wake up. This dream, while I was dreaming it, seemed pretty significant. So in this dream, I was either walking to or walking from visiting my grandmother's house. Not my grandmother. My grandmother has been long deceased, God rest her soul. But I was visiting her house. And that's something that I've done, in the past as an adult. I grew up in my grandmother's house. Some of my earliest memories of childhood are memories from my grandmother's house. So in this dream, I was, again, either walking to or walking from visiting my grandmother's house. And there was this really large house a little ways away from where I was walking. And the house was on fire. You could see the smoke and the flames coming from somewhere in back of the house. So I continued to walk towards this house that was on fire, and in my dream it's nighttime, so it's dark outside. When I got close to the house, someone came from the people that had, began to crowd around outside of the house, watching it burn down. Someone came over to me and said, "Oh my God, Rob is up there." Now, Rob is my old boss. He's one of my former employers. Rob was pretty cool, and I more or less enjoyed working for Rob, but he terminated me wrongfully. In real life, not in my dream. But here in my dream, as this house is on fire, someone comes over and says to me, "Rob is up there. Oh my God, Rob is up there." So in my dream, I sprang into action to help this man. I flew or floated from the street level up about 3-4 stories and landed on a back patio. And this penthouse was on fire. And when I got up to the back patio, I could see this guy, Rob, laying down on the wooden planks of the back patio. And I leaned over him. I said, Rob, man, we gotta get you out of here, man. Like, you know, what's going on? You all right? Get up, and can you move? And he said, my legs. I hurt my legs. I can't get up. So somehow, you know, it's a dream. Somehow I put this man over my shoulders and carried him down a series of ladders and fire escapes away from the fire into safety. When I had reached the ground level behind this very large house, which now that I was behind the house, I could see that it wasn't a very large house, but rather it was like condos, and that there were several apartments or several units in this large condo. And when I got down to the ground level, I could see that there was like a cookout, some festivities going on. And there were a lot of black women. I saw some black women that I know, some familiar faces, and some black women that I didn't know. But they were all at tables behind this house, and the tables had food and drinks, and you know, they had chairs out there sitting in the grass, and when I looked up from viewing the table and the chairs and the food and the drinks, and looking at a crowd of black women who all were looking at the fire that was burning just a few floors up above them, I looked in to the living room that was on the ground level on that back patio. And I could see a living room full of children. And some of these children I could recognize by face. I saw some of my little cousins, my son, my stepsons or former stepsons, a bunch of beautiful black boys and girls. And they were all in this condo that was on fire. And they were in this living room on this first floor unit of this condo that's burning. So, you know, the apartment is at the top of the building. The fire is at the top of the apartment. So, down on the first floor, I can look in through the sliding glass doors, and I can see all of these beautiful children. The living room that they were in was very large, and it was white. The sofas looked to be large white leather sofas. And there was a very large bed in that room as well. And there was a big TV. And all of the kids, man, all these little children were just in there watching television while their mothers were on the back patio having a cookout or some type of celebration. Now, I didn't see any black men, just women and children. As a matter of fact, in this dream, and in this particular part of the dream, the only other man that was there was the gentleman that I rescued from the top floor. This guy Rob, and he looks like a white guy. He's like Indian American or something like that, but he looks like a white guy. But he wouldn't, appreciate anyone calling him a white guy. Or at least you would think. But he was the only guy there, the only man. Everyone else in this burning building, or at the location of this burning building, was a minor or a woman. Black woman. And like I said, I saw some black women that I recognized. I knew who they were when I saw them. And in that crowd was my son Jeremiah's mother. My son Jeremiah was there. He was one of the children that were in the building watching television as it burned. The fire department had not showed up yet, but EMTs had begun arriving. There were a few ambulances that had pulled up, but the fire department, they hadn't arrived yet. And upon seeing that all of these children were in this living room, in this building that was burning, I kind of started flipping out. You kids got to get out of here. This place is on fire. I'm cussing and fussing at the black women who are present because none of them seem to have the wherewithal in my dream to get the kids out of the house and get them away from the house. All the black women who were there were either sitting around at the tables playing cards and dominoes and eating and drinking and making merry, or they were simply standing there watching the fire burn. I saw my son's mother there, and she was drunk and high in my dream. And I tried to talk to her, but that didn't go too well. I don't remember exactly how that exchange happened in my dream. I just remember that she wasn't interested in hearing anything that I was trying to tell her. I had gotten my son and her children out of the burning building. And I turned to leave. And I remember as I was leaving, two other black women that I have never seen anywhere before in my life, or at least that I can't recall ever seeing anywhere in my life, two black women approached me. And they asked me where I was going. And I told them more or less, I don't remember the exact words, but I told them more or less that I'm unneeded and unwanted. So I have to find somewhere to go. I'm not welcome here. Now, the house is still on fire. We're still waiting for the fire trucks. And I'm making my way to a destination unknown. It is at this point that I cross the street. I come from behind the large house or large condominium style structure, and I walk around the side of the place and I cross the street so that I'm standing in front of it across the street. And I see my son's mother. And she is on the ground as if she's looking for something that she dropped. So I walk over to her and I say, man, what you looking for? And she said her car keys. The party was over, the festivities were over, and it was time to get the kids home. So she was, going to go get the car. But she had lost the keys. So I stood with her for a few minutes to help her find the keys. Now, I could see the keys on the ground. The keys had come off of her key ring and were separated so that there were different keys on the ground. A key to the front door of her home, a key to the car, a key to God knows what, so on and so forth. So there are a couple of keys on the ground. So I begin to pick the keys up one by one, and I picked her up off of the ground. She was sitting on the ground. I picked her up and stood her on her feet and helped her get her keys together. And none of the keys were the keys to her car. And when I asked her, how did the keys get on the ground, she told me that she threw them. And she took the keys from me and threw them down on the ground again. And she expressed frustration that she couldn't find her car keys. So I asked her where she parked the car. And she couldn't give me an intelligible response to where she parked the car. You see, she was drunk and high. She was out of it. And she wasn't making a whole lot of sense. She indicated to me that the car was parked a little while away, a short walk away, and that her and her boys, her kids, had parked and walked down to the cookout, and that she was intending to walk back to the car and then come and pick up the kids. But she couldn't find the car keys. She had all of her other keys, just not the car key. Now, being that this woman is my ex-wife, I wanted to help her. I wanted to do whatever I could to help her. To help her means helping my son. So I continued to look for the car keys until she told me, rather angrily, to just don't fucking worry about it. And she began to walk down the street, away from the house that's still burning and away from her children. So and before I forget the two black women that approached me before I left the backyard, I ended up seeing them again later in the dream. But so I'm following my ex-wife, my son's mother, down the street, just walking, and I'm watching her stumble and stagger and, you know, walk like a drunk. Like clearly she's inebriated in my dream. Clearly she's intoxicated. So I wanted to help her get to her car. But for some reason the car was parked kind of far away. And we ended up getting on a bus to get to her car because she was so drunk and so high that she couldn't make it walking. Now, the whole way we are going to get her car, as we're walking and when we get on the bus, I'm telling her that maybe you shouldn't drive. And she's irritated and annoyed with that. She's cussing and fussing at me because I'm suggesting to her that maybe she had a little too much to drink or a little, you know, too much whatever, and she shouldn't be driving. So maybe it's a good thing that you can't find your car keys. Now, we're on the bus, and somehow, it's a dream, somehow the bus transforms into a train. So we went from riding the Metro bus to riding the Metro rail. And there are other people on the train with us. And I don't remember quite how or why, but she ended up getting into it with some guy on the train, and she stabbed him. She sliced him and diced him and stabbed him up, man, real good on the train. And I stood there and watched, like, what the fuck? And when this altercation began, you know, people, you know, began whipping out their cell phones and recording her pretty much kill this guy. White guy with dark color hair. Young guy, maybe 20, 21 years old. Him and his friend were riding on the train together, and they made a comment. And at this moment, I cannot remember what the comment was, but whatever the comment was, it set my son's mother off to the point where she pulled out a blade and sliced the guy across his neck and his face and stabbed him a couple of times. So women on the train are screaming and people are recording, and there's chaos on the train, but no one is really moving to stop her. Nobody except me. I pull her back. I kind of get control of her arms, and I sit her down hard on the ground, on the floor in the train car. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And nothing that she is saying is intelligible because she's high as fuck. And at this point, I'm starting to realize that she's on PCP. And she's had a lot of it. And possibly some other things as well. She just was not herself in my dream. Like she wasn't herself at all. And the bus driver / train operator was a black woman. And a call to the police had already went out about the stabbing that took place on the train. And my son's mother, she made a few attempts to get off of the bus and or train. But the bus driver, train operator would not stop so that she can get off. And she looked in the rear view mirror at my son's mother and I, and she said, "I'm sorry, sweetie, you gotta ride this ride." She passed a few bus stops or train stops, and I keep going back and forth because that's how it was in my dream. In one second we were on a bus, and the very next second we were on a train. She passed a couple of stops, and people had wanted to get off, and she told them that she couldn't stop. But she had already made a call to the police, and they're waiting at a particular stop and or station to take my ex-wife, my son's mother, into custody. And in my dream, my phone was off. So I had a phone, but I couldn't make any phone calls. And in the dream, I'm worried sick about my son and her sons because I just watched her kill this guy. And I'm thinking about the kids, like, holy shit. What's gonna happen to the kids? Now, in my dream, I realized that this is an opportunity for me to fight for custody of my son and get custody of my son, Jeremiah. But I'm sick at the thought of what happens to her other children. I expressed this concern to the bus driver / train operator. I let her know that the woman who just committed the stabbing was my ex-wife, my son's mother. And how terrible this whole situation was, and that she didn't mean to hurt anybody, and it was an accident, and I couldn't really explain it, but she didn't mean it. And the bus driver / operator looked at me and said, "Congratulations, now you can get custody of the kids." And I remember saying to her, "Not like this." And I woke up from that dream. That dream this morning kind of got me like I said, a little perturbed, man. For one, it was very, very vivid. And for two, it's been just a really long time since I've had a dream at all, you know, like during sleep. It's been a long time since I've laid down at night, closed my eyes, and went to sleep and actually had a dream, much less a dream that I can remember upon waking up. And instantly, when I woke up, and this was one of those dreams where, like, I woke up, it was so crazy, man, that, you know, the adrenaline was so much, man, in my dream, that I woke up from my sleep. I woke up, I stayed up for a few minutes and ended up going back to sleep and dreaming some more, but I don't really remember that part. I just remember everything up to the train. And, but when I woke up, I began interpreting my dream. Just my mind, you know, I was still half asleep, but my mind was like in turbo mode and trying to make sense of the dream that I just had. And so, by the way, one of the two ladies that I saw in the backyard at the house that was on fire, she was also the bus driver / train operator. And the other of the two young ladies was a passenger on the bus and or train. I recognized them and remembered seeing them earlier in the evening in my dream. So I've been up this morning, drinking my coffee. It's almost 7 a.m. I've just been up, trying to understand the significance of this dream. Trying to interpret this dream. And I guess it means that and my ex-wife, my son's mother, is on a particular path in life. And it is a path of destruction. It's a path of self-destruction. And I can't save her from it. And I've been trying to save her, trying to save my son. But it's like the bus driver / train operator said, ain't no stopping this ride. This is the ride that she chose to ride, and now she's on it. And ain't no stopping it until it gets where it's going. And as far as the large house that was on fire, to me, it seems like the large house represents the current system that we all live in and live under. You see, there were no black men at that cookout. There were no black men in that house because we're not allowed to be a part of that system. And the white guy that I rescued, my former employer, his house is burning down. His business is crumbling. The system that he built, and I'm not talking in particular about Rob. You know, he just represents the white man. And his house is on fire. His business is crumbling. His system is crumbling. And he's at the top feeling paranoid. Or excuse me, not paranoid, perhaps paranoid, but paralyzed. I meant to say paralyzed. You know, the white man is at the top feeling paralyzed. It's watching his system, his house, his business burn and turn into ash. And a couple of floors down on that first floor, got all these black women and black children watching TV and enjoying festivities as if the fucking house is not burning down. The children, you know, they're not at fault because they're children. They don't know any better. The black women, they should know better. But it seems like they don't. The black women are partying, drinking, eating, and making merry as if this whole fucking house isn't burning down. I guess what the dream was trying to tell me, or what my subconscious self was trying to tell me, is that if I just be patient, my son's mother will fall on her own sword. She is on a path of self-destruction. She is on a destructive path of self-destruction. And I'm not speaking necessarily in terms of any of her habits, which she has some pretty bad habits, as do we all. But what I'm speaking in terms of is Dr. David R. Hawkins' map of consciousness. My son's mother, like a majority of black women, like a majority of women, period, but in particular, a majority of black women, my son's mother operates from a destructive frequency, a low vibrational frequency below 200. And again, if you would like to better understand what I'm saying here, you may want to refer to Dr. David R. Hawkins' clinically proven map of consciousness. You see, my son's mother has a demon of pride, false pride, plaguing her life. She has a demon of fear, guilt, and shame plaguing her life. See, all of these negative emotions are destructive. Anything below the 200 hertz threshold is false, it lacks integrity, and it does not support life. It is a destructive force. Anything above the 200 hertz threshold has integrity and supports life, and is not destructive, but is a creative force. So when I say that my son's mother is on a path of destruction, That's what I'm referring to. Low vibrational frequency, low energy. She lives there, and she's stuck there. Hopefully not forever. In my next video, I'll probably talk about shame. Before I went to bed last night, I was doing some self-work, some inner work, some soul work, looking at and addressing things that I have been ashamed about as a child and as an adult. Trying to eradicate that shit. But yeah, man, I just wanted to record this little video, man, this morning, because that dream peace.